Something I would do if anybody ever kicked me out of their home. I'm going to the next five-star hotel, and I might actually book me a 10-day trip to Europe too. So I guess we're just different, and that's why we didn't work, because, you know, morals, you know. I feel like once you start crying on a trip with a significant other, like you're like boohoo crying, that relationship is done. Like already aggravated at that point. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, where were you? And the response that this jokester gave me was, aren't you going out tonight? How did you leave the car on the block when I just drove through the block several times and the car wasn't there? Alright guys, so welcome back to another story time video. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was kind of nervous about doing today's story time, but I just kind of had like a little pep talk with myself, and I said, girl, let's just do it and get it out the way. Now, this story time, the reason why I want to do this story time is I feel like this story time can resonate with someone. I feel like even if you're not in a situation or you're experiencing something currently, maybe this can kind of help you kind of make that decision or whatever it is, just because you don't want to be a dummy like I was. Because one thing for sure, looking at the person I am today, it could never be me, honey. So that's number one. So in today's story time, I'm going to go ahead and do a skincare with you guys. I know I do it quickly in the vlogs, but some of you guys want me to do it like, you know, while I'm doing something. So I'm going to do it in today's video. I did get my lashes done. They are volume right now, but I usually like a hybrid, but I'm going away, so y'all know the lashes tend to like fall. I want them to be kind of hybrid by the time I get on my trip, so that's why I got them volume this time, but I still think it looks cute, period, okay? The unit that I have on is from Beauty Forever Hair, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave the link for this one down below. It's just a Yaki wig. I just put it into a little ponytail in the bag. You feel me? Kept it cute and clean for a little skincare routine today. So yeah, so again, I was very nervous. Got my drink. Have a little drink, and we're gonna go ahead and do the story time. Again, if I didn't mention, this story time is a why I left the last person I was with, and this story time is not intended to bash anybody. I'm just talking about what happened to me and how I got to that situation, even though that situation was presented in the beginning. It just kept happening because the disrespect grew. So it's a lesson. Y'all get what I mean? I feel like at this stage of my life, I am over that. And again, we are not talking about any entity. We ain't referencing directly. We ain't calling nobody's name. Because baby, I do not know that man, okay? So yeah, so let's just keep it a positive energy on here, positive vibes. And let me let y'all know the shit that happened to me and why I had to let them go. So obviously my skin is nice and clean and dry. So I'm gonna go ahead with the Dr. Dennis Gross chemical peels. They're like the little pack peels. These are not that affordable, but if you get the multi-pack during the Sephora sale or any type of Ulta sale, they're a pretty decent price. But I'm not gonna hold y'all. They're a little bit pricey. If you've never tried these before, they do have like a medium, like a lower level, which is an orange one. I usually just get the red one because I'm used to getting chemical peels and micro needling and stuff like that, so my skin can handle this type of stuff. So I use this one. You're supposed to do it 2 minutes apart. So you do it, let it dry a little bit, and then start the second one. It's really nice, but one thing I'm gonna say is that the next day your face is definitely a little bit oilier, but you'll see your skin a little bit brighter. So these definitely do a good effect. And I ain't gonna lie, I do buy them every Sephora, so I ain't gonna hold you. I'll leave a link for the, as a matter of fact, do I have a link for these down below? I probably do, so yeah. So this story time, guys, there's a comment that came up. Let me go back up. So another reason why I'm doing this story time is because there's a comment that came up on our channel, and it was from, I forgot, it was from one of these vlogs. If I could find the comment, I'm gonna go ahead and leave the comment here for you guys. And I remember she was talking about how there was a trip that I went on. And this is not the first person that's left this comment about this specific trip. I've seen this comment several times. And this comment was basically around the time that I was single. And the comment was basically referencing how on that trip, they just knew on that trip that that man did not want me. And the funny thing about it is, on that trip, I actually knew that myself too. So even though I wasn't out here flapping my gums, telling anybody my business or anything like that, I absolutely knew, just like y'all knew, that that man was not my man. I knew that man didn't like me. On that trip, I knew he didn't like me. Absolutely. Now, I don't even want to talk about the trip like that, because I don't give a fuck. Like, it was, you know, it was supposed to be like a birthday trip. It was supposed to be like a nice, you know, trip for someone, did something nice or whatever. And again, I just felt like a lot of ungratefulness, a lot of, you know, stuff like that. So it is what it is. And I felt like once I sensed that, I'm like, oh, get the fuck out of here. So at that point, I knew, I was like, yeah, I can't do this. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to be completely honest. On that trip, I had that cry. I cried. I feel like once you start crying on a trip with a significant other, like you're like boohoo crying, that relationship is done. Like, that relationship is done. And let me tell you guys, that was the last time I ever let that person see me cry. I'm going to let y'all, oh my God, that was the last time that I ever let that person see me cry, because I realized that my power was getting taken away when I did that. It was, yeah, so y'all kind of get what I'm saying now. So that was the last time. But again, I see this comment a lot. So just like y'all saw it, I felt it and I knew it too. That trip was the last trip that I would ever be on with that person, and I knew it from that day. Literally like 11 months later or 10 months later, it was over. So that just goes to tell you. Okay, so now I'm gonna let this dry up a little bit before I start the second one. So let's get into kind of how this all went. So again, like I said to you guys, that trip was like the final trip or whatever. I really knew like it was gonna come. Again, back then I didn't really have, I don't know what it was. I think I always say this, I always feel like that around that time I just felt bad for the person. I don't know, I don't want to make that as an excuse. I also want to say that it was mostly time invested, even though clearly in that scenario I could just tell that he ain't like me, you know what I'm saying? Like it was, but at the same time I got it. Why would you leave if you're benefiting off of someone's lifestyle, someone's money, someone's, you know, what they got, where they go, what they do, the trips that they take? So I get it. Like that's not something that I would do, but I felt like, you know, he didn't like me, but he persisted to stay. Now after that trip, we had gotten to like some type of argument at that point, and the lease was ending, and I was supposed to move to the last apartment that you guys saw me at, which was the one with like the high ceilings. That one, that really cute apartment, that was the last one that you guys saw me at. So I had signed a new lease for that apartment, and I was supposed to move in there. The argument happened, basically said that we were gonna like just go separate ways or whatever. So the person ended up coming to help me at my house, help me move this stuff, and it was like, oh, I'll stay for like a day or two, whatever, right? But of course, a day or two became an overstay, and he ended up staying longer than he was supposed to. Now at that point, like, you know, it was like honestly and truly, after that trip, there was absolutely, even before that trip, I feel like that trip was me just trying one last time. So after that trip, there really wasn't that much like contact like that. Like, I don't know if you guys know like what it's like to live with somebody, a roommate. So at this point, we're basically roommates that are living together at the house, which is cool with me, because at that point I had grown a level of, I hate to say this, I grew a level of disdain for the person. So I really didn't care. Like, I used to enjoy being at the house by myself. This person left and came whenever they wanted to, never reported. They didn't have the respect for me enough to do that, which was fine. Like, you know, it is what it is, because like, I'm not checking you, I'm just waiting for you to go. So, you know, it is what it is. So before this, a couple months before this, before I moved to this one, the fight that we had, I forgot, I have to put this in here. The fight that we had was because the person ended up going out, and the person didn't come back home until like maybe like 5 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, I called the person, I was texting the person, couldn't get like a clear communication from the person. I'm just sitting there worried. Now, one thing about me is if you have me worrying, like, what? And then worrying and then you're not giving a fuck, like, I can't do that too many times. Like, especially when you know that the person is actually caring, calling you, blowing you up, asking you, and it's not any blowing up or calling or texting with any type of aggression. It's just a more like, are you okay type of stuff. And the person just nonchalantly does not give a fuck. So we had gotten to an argument that day and that night because he showed up. I even texted a friend and stuff like that. And I don't ever recommend you guys trying to initiate conversation with a friend, even though they act cool with you. Because till this day, it's funny because I went on my WhatsApp and the friend's contact is still there. And I just clicked it. And the message that I sent asking him where his boy was at was still checkmarked. Like he still saw, like, you see what I'm saying? They're never gonna, like, you tell me, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like you saw the message and just didn't reply. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, so I was sitting there, I'm calling and texting and stuff like that. Shows back up at the house and makes up some excuse, right? So at that point, I already knew like it's all bullshit, right? So I'm like, okay, but like you couldn't communicate, right? Again, this was right after the trip. So like, I didn't really care, like go. Like my thing with it is like, just go, like go. I just couldn't understand why the person wasn't leaving. I just go. So at that point, we got into an argument, and you know, this is when the turnoff became even intense. The person started screaming, "I can't stand it here," and stuff like that. And I just stopped in my tracks, and I just said to myself, "What the fuck am I dealing with? Like, I just don't understand. Like, guys, I kid you not, guys, not. I can't stand it here, and I'm sitting here like grown woman, grown woman." I think around this time I just finished school. No, I just got my RN degree in the mail. Like grown man, getting shit done. Little boy screaming. What? Y'all, after that, I really was just over it. Just over it at that point. So came back, did what he ever had to, gaslit me up a little bit so that I kind of forgot about it, but I always keep it in the back of my head. I'm a Capricorn. I'm never going to forget stuff like that because I'm going to use it against you when it comes time. Even though I could have just ended it there, again, there was something in me that I don't know what it was, that I was unable to like release myself from the person. I don't know if it was this trauma bond or whatever it was, but I'm telling you guys, for me, the third strike was just it, and I was just over it at that. So I'm gonna go in right now with my L'Oreal Bright Reveal 12% niacinamide. This is actually really good. I get the L'Oreal PR packages, so I use the skincare. If it works for my skin, then I go for it. Like you know, it's free. It doesn't break me out at all. I haven't had like any major breakouts in a long time. So super blessed. So I use this. So come January, again, still at the place. Thought you were gonna leave, didn't leave, right? So come July, on a Friday, I decided to go see my mom in Connecticut. So I wanted to go spend like some time. It's funny because I have pictures and everything around that time. So it's just so crazy looking at shit like that. Like what? So I wanted to go see my mom and spend some time with her. So I remember that I left around like 8 o'clock. And again, this person never really came at a set time. They just showed up whenever they want because that's just what they did. So I remember going to my mom's house that night. Again, there was pictures and stuff. It was really cute. We had such a fun night and we were hanging out. So I went around 10 o'clock. I texted the person, was like, hey, like, you know, like I'm still here in Connecticut with my mom or whatever, just letting you know, I'll let you know when I leave. So I left my mom's house around 12 o'clock. Y'all know CT to New York is about 12 hours, especially, not 12 hours. CT to New York is about an hour drive. So I left around like 12, got home around like 1:30-ish or whatever, right? When I tell y'all I didn't get a message or a phone call or nothing from this dude, and I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, and again, you showed up at any time you wanted to anyway. So in my head, I'm like, okay, so like he's not going to let me know what's going on. When I tell y'all 3 o'clock came, 4 o'clock came, 5 o'clock came, and again, if you have me waiting and worried, count your freaking days. So I waited, right? And around 5 o'clock, around 5:30-ish, y'all, around like 5:30-ish, it was like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I hear the door open. So I hear the door open and I'm like, I know this motherfucker is not coming in the house right now. Like after I called you, there's no way you don't have a charge or anything, but whatever. I really don't care what you was doing anyway. Like, ew. So comes in and I hear like a lot of shuffling going on. I hear, look, my wig slipped all the way back. I hear like a lot of shuffling going on. I hear like a lot of pacing around, and y'all know what that type of pace, like, oh shit, like I came back, like what am I gonna say? Because this time, like, how can you, like, what are you gonna say? Like, what kind of, you know what, like, you know what I'm saying? So like, what can you say? Last time you fell asleep. That's why last time you fell asleep, that's why, you know, you missed the call, you missed the time. That's what I was told last time, that you fell asleep. So what can you honestly say now, right? So around like 6 o'clock, it was around, so showed up at 5:30, around 6 o'clock, 6:15, built the courage up to come in the room. Came in the room, did like a little childish tap on the back, like a little pokey poke on the back. Get the fuck off me. Like a little pokey poke on the back. And then I turn around, I'm just like, it's 5 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, like, where were you? Simple response. I'm already aggravated at that point. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, like, where were you? And the response that this jokester gave me was, aren't you going out tonight? Now, I did have somewhere to go tonight, but how does that question? I'm asking you where you were at. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. How do y'all see the witchcraft and wizardry of this jokester? Thank God I did my research, because I thought at one point I was going crazy in this motherfucker. I think this guy really thought that I wasn't doing my research and I wasn't picking up. I was picking up on this dude for 2 years. I was watching this dude for 2 years, and I don't even think he knew that I was really on him like that. He thought he was smarter than me, but you weren't. Like, again, stupid me. I should tossed him out a long time ago, but again, I don't know what type of trauma bond it was. It was just, I don't know what it was. It was keeping me, you know, like there, but at the same time, I hated him. I hated his guts. I'm gonna be honest, I hated him. But I felt, I don't know. This shit is crazy. Thank God that spell has been broken. Fuck that witchcraft. Ooh. Anyways, so like I said, he goes to me, aren't you going out tonight? Y'all not gonna tell me that's not like no gaslighting, no manipulative ass stuff. You literally just switched the subject. Like, are you dumb? Did you think I would, like, I couldn't believe this jokester. So you know what? I said absolutely nothing. Stayed silent that whole day. I remember calling my sisters up that day and I said, yep, today's the day. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, darn damn, I'm so blessed to have those two sweet angel sisters of mine, those sweet angels. When I tell you guys that I put them through the most shit, like the last 2 years of that relationship, I called my sisters from morning to night. Calling, talking shit, complaining, like just venting to them, just venting. And I remember at one point, Dan was like to me, you know, all these things that you're saying right now, you can't go back after this. The stuff that's come out of your mouth, you can never ever go back to this man after this. You have to leave this man. And I said to her, I am leaving this man. So like I said, my sisters were so freaking supportive. They would be at work, y'all. Phones on speaker while they're working just so that they can listen to me. I got the AirPods in at work just to listen to me so they can, you know, just let me vent. Cause like I was isolated. Like I lived in New York by myself, so I didn't really have like that friends and stuff like that. So I was really isolated there by myself. So I needed to talk to my friends and family, my sister. And at that time, I didn't tell any of my friends. I just stuck to my sisters. My sisters are my best friends. So I just stuck with my sisters, called them if I needed them and stuff like that. So bless them. They were, so that day I called my sisters. I'm going in with the L'Oreal Revitalift 25% hyaluronic acid plus caffeine. So you're supposed to use this underneath your eyes and on your eyelids. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I might just put like a little on my eyelid just because of the eyelashes. But yeah, I'm going to use this. Y'all can already see, look how bright my face is already. But yeah, I'm going to be real oily after this. So that entire day I was quiet. I called my sisters and told my sisters, I was like to them, yeah, today's the day. Like today is a fucking day. So that day I had a party that night. I went to the party, left, came back, did what I had to. What I did that night is I slept on the couch. So I came in late, so I was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna worry about, I'm gonna sleep on the couch. So I slept on the couch that night, watched a couple movies on the TV. Like I said, I already had it in my head. It's over. Like, it's done. Like, I'm ready to give this speech. Like, you gotta get out, right? So I slept on the couch or whatever. And then the next day, I hear like shuffling in the room. I guess that day, I don't know, maybe the fear of what's happened is gonna happen, because I felt like he knew what was gonna happen was settling in. So for the first time ever, like cleaning up. So I was like, okay, whatever, like that's just not gonna sway me, motherfucker, get out of here. So cleaning up started happening or whatever, and yeah. So after I guess the person decided that they wanted to leave to go hang out with their homeboys, which is like a regular thing. So they left to go see their homeboy, and then I got a text message maybe like 5 or 10 minutes after they left the house. And the text message was basically about how, you know, basically a fighting demons type of text message, or like something of like, you know, not doing well, and you know, like you know, stuff like that, or, you know, that's why things are like this. And then I just simply ended the thing with, we just need to go our separate ways. And then that literally was it, guys. That was it. And let me tell you guys how that went from being torturous, because the time that happened was close to the end of the month, right? Yeah, it was close to the end of the month. So I said July, this happened in August. What am I talking about? This happened in August. So it was close to end of the month, right? So the person decided that because they paid the rent that they would stay for the last few days. So I just had to go along with whatever it was. They ended up giving me back the bedroom, and they resided in the living room couch, even though there's an office there, but that's my office, so no. So they resided on the sofa, and I was in the bedroom, and that was that. Went about my business. Again, if it were me, I would have left immediately. I'm never going to sit in a place after someone has told me it's over and it's not my property, my name's not on the lease. I'm not gonna sit in your presence. You're not torturing me. I hate you. Like, I'm not gonna, I was never gonna do that. I was never gonna be like, oh, I wanna be with you. No. So you played yourself, like, so, okay, whatever. But again, like, that's not something I would do. If anybody ever kicked me out of their home, I'm going to the next five-star hotel, and I might actually book me a 10-day trip to Europe too. So I guess we're just different, and that's why we didn't work, because, you know, morals, you know, yeah, you know, but whatever. So yeah, so then after that, I'm telling y'all, I had one little cry, and then I went about my business after that. I'll give you guys a little bit of a background to this, because this showing up the next morning type of situation, I told you guys 2 scenarios that happened, and that happened within the last 11 months. So the disrespect kept growing, but I was unbothered, because like I said to you guys, I was already packing my bags to go in my head mentally. So I didn't, it was just more ammunition for me, just like, well, you know what, thank you anyways, but I think we should go our separate ways, which I did. Even though it took me a long time, when I did it, and I never looked back. So it may let me tell you something, it may take you a while, but as long as you do it, that's all that really freaking matters. Like, I know people be like, oh, you took so long to do it. Yo, sometimes it's hard. Like, as long as you make the right decision, that's all that freaking matters. So in the beginning, when I first met this dude, right, like, it was maybe like a year that we were dating. I'm using some of the La Roche-Posay Double Repair face moisturizer, and yes, I'm adding a little bit more. This is my last thing I'm gonna put on my face. So around maybe like a year and a half that we were dating, there was like a fight night. So I went upstairs. It was like a couples thing. A couple of his friends were there with their girlfriends or whatever, and there was a fight night. So he said that, like, the fight was about to be over or whatever, right? And this was in the beginning of the beginning of things. So like I said, I've never told anybody this story, so here we go. So the fight was about to end, and they lived downstairs from the apartment upstairs that we were at. So I went back downstairs. I mean, I was still upstairs watching some of the fight, and he had to go pick up something from one of his friends, right? So I knew where the friend lived at or whatever. So I'm like, oh, it's not too far. It's right there. Like, he'll be back real quick, right? So it was around like midnight, guys. Like midnight. It was around midnight. So he leaves, and then the game ends. So I go downstairs to go lay down or whatever. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, it's like 1 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock. Like, where is this dude? Mind you guys, this is the first time that I'm going from Connecticut to New York, and I'm by myself at his downstairs in his apartment. So I'm kind of like, why would you, like, 2 o'clock? Like, where are you? You said you're going around the corner. I know where around the corner is at, so why's it taking you so long? So around 2 o'clock, right, I get into my car. Because, like, at that point, I knew Brooklyn pretty well, and I knew where the boy lived. I have, like, a really good photographic memory, which is why I'm a nurse. I can learn things very quickly. So I'm like, okay, I know where he lives at. So I get into my car at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I drive down the block to Bushwick, because he lived in Bedside, so it was not too far. I was like right where Broadway's at. So I hit down to Bushwick, and I drive past the guy's house. I know what kind of car dude had, right? So I circle the block. You say you're at his house, right? Where's your car? So I drive there like maybe 2 or 3 times. I drive around, I'm driving around, and I don't see the car. So I'm like, okay, let me keep calling him and see what's up. Maybe he got back to the house while I'm here. You know, he could have went a different route. Again, you see how I'm playing these scenarios in my head? I'm trying to make all these excuses. I feel like when you want something so bad that you'll try to make excuses for it. Like, oh, I'm a girl from New York. I'm a girl from New York. I'm a girl from Connecticut. I'm dating a dude from New York. Like, I want this to work. I want to move to New York. I want to have that city girl life. bro, you picked the dud from New York, dummy. It's not like, again, your mind will make you believe that, make scenarios up because it's something that you want, right? So I drive around, don't see him. So I'm like, okay, let me head back. Like I said, I think he may have crossed. Maybe he went the opposite way. Get back, don't see his car there. Calling him, texting him, not picking up the phone. So I go back in there, and of course, like, I'm panicking, I'm crying, I'm like, oh my God, did something happen to him? Okay, so again, this happened a year into it, right? So the next day, a couple hours later, maybe it was like, again, like, it's always like a 5, 6 o'clock. Like, what the fuck y'all doing at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, showing back up at the house at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning? Like, you're not making money. You feel me? So he shows up around like 5, as a matter of fact, he shows up around like 7. It was a little bit earlier than that. Like, it was around like 7 o'clock, and he goes, oh, you know, I got the cops had to take me. They left a car out there. The cops came to take me because they said that I was drunk in the car, whatever. They made me leave the keys in the car, and I had to go sleep at the precinct that night. You had to sleep at... And you know what's funny? This video right here is such a reflective video. I'm not sure if the entity is watching this video, but how embarrassing, like, are you? Like, why would you lie? So he goes, and I'm the dummy, right? So he goes, yeah, I had to go sleep at the precinct or whatever, and I left the car on the block. How did you leave the car on the block when I just drove through the block several times and the car wasn't there? I hit up every single block. And can y'all believe, like a dummy, I let that shit go? And again, he played me again by repeating the same thing to me the last few months before I let him go. Do you guys see that? Let me tell y'all something. Just do it. Like, just do it. Let him go. Let him go. I left this story time looking like a nice little greasy baby. Hopefully I didn't jaw jack too much in this story time today. Hope you guys enjoyed today's story time. Let me tell y'all something. Don't be a dummy like me. I was a dummy, and again, like I said to you guys, I feel like the more you want something so bad, like your mind will trick you into making things up for people, or you trick yourself into thinking like, oh, it's no big deal. I don't even know how long it took me. Well, it didn't take me that long. It took me maybe, after that, it took me maybe 3 years to kind of put it together that something was not right. Now, I do have a couple more story times to tell you guys if you guys want to hear. Go ahead and leave your comments down below. But again, if they show you who they are the first time, just believe it. Like the first time, I should have just never talked to him again. He showed himself right there and then and there. Like, I should have known right then, like, let me just part ways right there. Because this, and again, when he thought that he had the power, the disrespect continued and continued and continued. But what he didn't realize is that I already checked out like 2.5 years. That trip was the last savior, and that trip just ended it. I just didn't give any F's anymore. I like completely hated that man. Like, so yeah. But again, no hard feelings. Like, we're good over here. We're good in the hood over here. We don't care. We don't even like and you know, I was embarrassed a lot back then, just because, like, how could I feel like I was more embarrassed on the fact, and I'm gonna say this with my whole chest, I was more embarrassed at how could I let that try to turn me up like that, or turn my head up like that. You wasn't even worth it, like, on some shit, like, for real, like me, like, never. But hey, you always gotta learn a lesson, yo. So it is what it is. Caught a little bit of an L, but guess what? At the end of the day, I'm still flourishing and doing well. So yeah, guys, that was a story time. Again, I never told anybody that little last story about y'all. And again, if y'all want more story times in regards to things, other red flags that I should have paid attention to, that would have showed me from Jump Street who I was dealing with, cause there's things in the very beginning that I should have paid attention to. But all in all, let me know what you guys think about today's story time. And if you have something similar to this, let me know. Like, because I was in that situation for about like 5.5, 6 years. Yeah. The last 2.5 years, I was a single girl in my mind. I ain't had no man. I just had a roommate.